Hello, and thank you for joining us. Today we are talking with Miss Kim Pearse, the lead designer and owner of the Staging Consultants. She's going to inform us on the difference between working with a remote consultant or a virtual consultant for staging. So, hello and welcome, Kim.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, no, thank you. This is wonderful. I love getting new information for our real estate agents and how they can improve their business, especially in this new environment. So I appreciate your professionalism and your information. So
Great.
I'm excited to kind of dig deep into what is home staging. It's become this very important role in any listing. So there are two major ways of kind of doing what I considered virtual staging, and you have informed me it's actually the difference between remote staging and virtual staging. So can you tell us, like, what is the difference between remote staging and virtual staging, and then kind of what are the benefits of that for a real estate agent?
Sure, absolutely. Well, what people think of when they think of virtual staging, it is typically an empty home. Where you can go in and use photos to enhance what that home could look like. So it is nothing physical, but it is truly all this wonderful technology that we all have right now. So, and I'm going to be real honest, I'm not a huge fan of it. And I'll explain a couple of the reasons. But in today's world, it is a tool that can be used. Some people still don't want to go into homes. And our photos of our houses that we're getting ready to sell are critical, especially now. We spend a lot of time in front of the computers now, and people are not going to risk going into someone's home if they don't already love it, right? So you got to think about that. So that is truly a digital enhancement of the home. And I know in most states that if it is virtually staged, it needs to be commented in the MLS that this is not a true representation of what it's going to be like. So that is something that they have to do. And of course, they're not allowed to change anything. So if you have an empty home with bright purple walls, the purple walls are supposed to still stay. So you're not allowed to change anything that's physical. Really what you are able to do is to show how furniture could be in a room, how it could be set up and that type of thing. So that's what most people think of virtual. Now that we've all had stay at home for, gosh, what are we on? Like 10, 12, 14 weeks? I don't even know. We were coming up, and I have done this all along. I do a lot of remote consultations. And so remote consultations is completely different. It is actually having the client, the seller or the real estate agent, take photos of someone's home. So like they go in, take their iPhone, just take their photos. Then they send them directly to me, and then we get on a Zoom call or even FaceTime, whichever is the most comfortable. And so I will go around with the pictures in hand that I've already studied, and then with their camera, and sometimes they'll send me a picture just not at a perfect angle, and I'll say, can you tilt your phone or your computer to this side? Let me see this whole room and that type of thing. And then what I will do is I'll go in and say, let's move this sofa here, or see what your room is looking like. Again, let's go back to the purple dining room. For some reason, we see a lot of purple and red dining rooms here. So then they actually can see what buyers will see. They see it on, like, oh, I don't want somebody to see that. So I'm allowed to make the recommendations. Let's paint. Let's move our furniture over here, because so many times people have too much stuff. I mean, we all like to collect, and I don't say to clients, get rid of your stuff. I say, let's edit out some of your treasures. So what I'm trying to do is use empowering words so people will get to action. And this is what, I'm gonna segue a little bit of that. That's a huge benefit for the real estate agents, is because they don't have to say those things. We can be the bad cop, if you will.
I was gonna say, it's good cop, bad cop almost.
Yeah.
So
we're really nice bad cops, though.
Wonderful, I love that. But now, kind of, let's dive a little bit deeper into like the remote staging, can you give us like the top 3 to 5 tips for a real estate agent if they wanted to work with a stager remotely? What are those 3 to 5 tips that they need?
Typically, what I would tell them on a remote staging is they either need to send the photos ahead of time, and the tips would be take the photos from each 4 corners of a room, because we want to make sure that we're getting the Photoshop, because that's what staging is. It's getting the fabulous photos online and creating an experience. So we want to be able to see what is actually in the room, so we know what to tell them to pre-pack or edit away, things like that. So that would be tip number 1. Tip number 2 is recommend to the client that what we're going to tell them. The first thing I usually do when I walk into a home, and now I'm doing it when I pick up the phone or the Zoom call, is I ask their permission to be honest. Because it's not advantage for the real estate agent and or the seller if I go in and tell them what they want to hear. So I come with a buyer's eye. So and when you do that, it eases their mind. So it's like, okay, she's going to be honest. I'm not going to tell you that your decor is awful. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to just really give you the tips on what to move, because if we have too much stuff, we might not be able to see that beautiful fireplace or the wainscoting or the beautiful trim on the, those are or the view. So we really try to focus on getting the client to be empowered to action. So that's something that a tip for the real estate agent is to let them know we're going to be honest with them, okay? And that we are the professional. And this is probably one of the biggest tips for a real estate agent is we save them so much time. Not only we're the bad cop, the really nice bad cop, but we are able to save them time. They don't have to, first of all, know colors or know how to have furniture placement. These are all skills that are learned and acquired over years of experience. They don't have to walk into a room, each room with a homeowner, and say, let's do this, let's do that. The agents that I work with on a regular basis, they say, that's a good question for for the stager. She'll answer that. That's a great thing for the stager. She's going to go through that with you. So it saves them a huge amount of time.
Wonderful. Well, Kim, thank you so very much for taking the time today to speak with us. Thank you for all of the great tips. Thank you for sharing with us the difference between a virtual stager and a remote stager, and why a remote stager is actually a way more, to have a way better value add. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I am a teacher at heart, so I love to help educate.